This is my good friend Ian, and this is me, atop the mighty Taglang La mountain pass in the Indian Himalayas. But that was many moons ago. It's been ages since we did some touring. It was time to get back in the saddle. Ian came out to China where I live, and among the many cycling possibilities, we chose Guiyang to Kunming. Originally we planned the red route, but within days of cycling we switched to the blue route with stops in 1. Zhenning, 2. Zhenfeng, 3. Luoping, 4. Luxi. I shipped my bike from Shanghai to Guiyang at the bargain price of 106 RMB, about £12. Ian wanted to buy a bike in Guiyang for the tour, but unlike Shanghai, the range wasn't great. No large frames and many bikes without rear rack connectors. One shop kindly sourced us a large framed gravel bike, although the low spec did make Ian wonder if the wheels would hold out. Anyway, it's all we had. We were ready to roll. Yeah.
That's got to be the red light, man.
Nice, yeah. Bit of camping. Yesterday, the first day, was a nightmare getting out of the city. It was really big roads. We weren't sure if were allowed to cycle on them. The traffic was pretty awful. Yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, and we weren't too impressed with the maps.me that we were using. It sent us into a sort of up this alleyway into a dead end before we'd even got out of the city. And it wasn't really showing real-time location. It was sort of flickering and jumping from here to there, and we then switched to Apple Maps, and that was absolutely brilliant. Apple Maps was really good, and it took us on tiny roads, like one-track roads where cars couldn't even pass each other, right out in the countryside. It was really nice. So we'll go with Apple Maps again today. This hotel's about 200 RMB a night, which is maybe £22 a night. Actually really quite nice. Kind of mapped out a route yesterday, which is pretty much all small roads. So let's see how we go. Breakfast this morning is some kind of sticky soy rice with different sort of pickles and peanuts. Pretty good for about 32 pence. spicy in this part. We got off the small and sometimes too steep X roads and found our way onto this S provincial road. We soon learned that S roads were the best for cycling, still quiet and rural, but they were never too steep or remote. This is what we get for about 20 quid a night. Any good?
See what this is.
I think it's a tofu ball, maybe.
I hope it's not there. In here?
Yeah, dip it in the doodah. These things, which look a bit like chungfen, but I don't know what they are delicious. We wanted to stop in Zhenning so we could see the Huangguoshu waterfall. It was another wet morning when we left Zhenning, going southwest past the Huangguoshu scenery spot. Just shortly after this, we got onto a national road. This took us south, and it wasn't long before we joined a quieter and nicer provincial road. Now, had the weather been better, we'd probably have cycled a bit further, but we were pretty wet. It was a damp day. We didn't want to sleep outside, so we ended up stopping in the small, slightly shabby town of Jiefan. We're cycling in the rain, just cycling in the rain. What a glorious feeling, we're wet again. This must be a bit of a special area, mate.
I'm not going to get a camera.
There was a time in China when small hotels outside tourist areas would refuse to admit foreigners due to problems with paperwork. But I thought these days had passed. However, 5 hotels refused us, despite clearly having few or no guests. Luckily for us, a beefy-looking, smiling old lady accepted us into her hotel, much to the protestations of her grumbling husband. It was a modest hotel, but we were grateful not to be sleeping out in the wet. A shout out to the young generation of Jiefan. This is a broken spoke. Beijing, we have a problem. So we are lightening the load, and I will ride this bike because I'm a bit lighter, and hopefully we can get to the next bike shop, which is about 60 kilometers away. We shall see. It was a damp and drizzly morning when we left Jiefan, and it wasn't long before we were on the edge of the Huajiang Gorge. It was purely accidental that we stumbled across the world's highest bridge, and the low cloud misty morning created a unique atmosphere. We then freewheeled down the gorge, crossed a bridge at the bottom of the valley, and then cycled the scenic 12 kilometers up the other side. Wow. Holy. We've got to make sure we're watching the road and not driving into the wall or into the gorge. Wow, that is deep, isn't it? Wow. Look at that. That is so deep. We'll get a quickie on here. Way up, Tiger. I think we might be getting a few pictures here. Our hotel in Zhenfeng was 230 RMB, about £26, but we had no time to relax. We needed to get our bike fixed. The first bike shop couldn't help, but the local kids were keen to show us their biking skills. The guys we spoke to in the second bike shop also weren't sure if they could help, but they said they'd get it done somehow. And sure enough, they did, while some guy was training for triathlon. It's a raining again. Boo! Hallelujah! It's a raining again. Boo! I swear we're gonna go out, gonna let ourselves get absolutely soaking wet. Filthy bikes. And
no, I'm gonna do yours.
Ian's back.
And here we go, Toby's back in all its glory. Some bit of mud trail here going up, not much of course, you know.
Lovely.
There you go.
But in contrast to that, we have some lovely purple flowers. Look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Nice hotel in Xinhai. And we've been doing a bit of do-it-yourself mud guards. Look at that. And we got a bit of chocolate box mud guards. So no rain is going to make our backs dirty today. When will the rain ever end? That is the question.